1.6 represent functions as rules and tables. I like to abbreviate functions as f, x, and s. Rules is really just an equation, and tables, obviously. Here's some examples. So this is what you have. I think you should be able to do numbers 1 through 14 all. And again, I'm relatively new to this business, so I'm finding ways that I think are helpful just to give you guys some instruction while you're on the road. So I found these other practice worksheets that are similar. You should have read the study guide or perused the study guide. And then, yes, I have the advantage of just being able to fill in the practice sheet, but you'll be recording it on your blank paper or graph paper or lined paper, whichever it is. So the input variable is called the independent variable. If you take stats, we call it something else. And again, I would have Viv 7.3.16, and this is 1.6. It's obvious. The output variable is called the dependent variable. Rarely do I have you just fill in the blanks. I like you to write complete sentences, and when you get to school, we'll be doing a little more practice with writing. So tell whether the pairing is a function. Now, this one often gets people. I like to think about a vending machine, right? Like if you press A1, if you press the button A1, and it is going to give you pretzels or a chocolate bar, and you don't know which, is that okay? No, that's not a function. If you press A1 and that gives you pretzels, or if you press B3 and that gives you pretzels, is that okay? Yeah, as long as you know what's coming out when you put something in. Doesn't matter if it repeats here. But I can't have a single input having two different outputs, because when I put something in, I don't know what's coming out, and that's not a function. So in this case, each input needs its own unique output. I can't have one input having more than one output. So there's only 1, 1, there's only 1, 3, there's only 1, 5, and there's only 1, 7. Even though these guys both give me pretzels, that's okay. And even though these guys both give me chocolate bars, that's okay. So that is a function. Check. And same thing here. In this case, my vending machine's only putting out Coke. And that's all right, too, as long as I know that that's what I'm getting. That is a function. Check. Here it looks like I have a problem. 12 is not only giving me 4, but 12 is also giving me 1. So again, that's like saying if I press the 12 button, I might get pretzels or I might get a chocolate bar. Or suppose you're allergic to nuts, you might get pretzels or nuts, and that is definitely not okay. So that is not a function. It doesn't work. I don't know what's coming out when I put something in. Make a table for the function. Identify the range. So here is my rule. This is like the rule. And I love vertical tables, X and Y. And in this case, my domain is the inputs. When 1 goes in, what comes out? Well, my rule is 4 times whatever X is minus 2, so that gives me 2. You don't have to keep putting this in there. I'm just showing you that's how the rule works. And 4 times 2 would be 8, minus 2 is 6. 4 times 3 is 12, minus 2 is 10. 4 times 4 is 16, minus 14. So this is my range. So I would say my range is 2, 6, 10, 14. And if one of these numbers repeated itself up here, like up here, my range would just be 5. I wouldn't write 5, 5, 5, 5. And even up here, my range, in this case, would just be 15 and 20. You'd only have to list it once. So that's domain and range and taking a rule and making a table. Pretty classic stuff. Now they want me to write a rule for the function. And it looks like all that's happening here is x is being multiplied by y. So y is 5 times x. In this case, let's try to figure out what's going on. Can you tell? If I put 10 in, how does 3 come out? And if I put 11 in, how does 4 come out? Later, and maybe you've already learned to do this, how to write if you can tell it's linear, you can take 2 points and write a linear equation. But let's just see if we can do this with mental math. Looks to me like it's, I don't know, is it just -7? Yeah, so y is just x minus 7. Oh, this is a good one. How can you tell U.S. size to Australian size? Write a rule. 5 to 3, 6 to 4, 7 to 5. Plus 1 divided by 2, that doesn't work here. Times 2 minus 7, that doesn't work here. Oh, it's just subtract 2. That's silly. Okay, so in this case, Australian would equal US minus 2. Something like that. You are making balloon bunches to attach to tables for a charity event. You plan on using 8 balloons in each bunch. Write a rule for the total balloons used as a function of the number of bunches created. Identify the independent and dependent variable. So we want total number of balloons. Sometimes it bums me out when they use balloons and bunches. So they're both B's. It'd be nice if we had 2 different variables. You're making balloon bunches to attach to a table for charity. Let's call them a group. Balloon group. You plan on using 8 balloons in each group. Write a rule for the total number used as a function of the number of bunches created. So the total number of balloons, if B equals the number of the balloons, and G equals the number of groups, then the total number of balloons is 8 times the total number of groups. How many balloons will you use if you make 10 groups? Well, in this case, if G equals 10, the number of balloons is 8 times 10, which is 80 balloons. And so forth. So, rule. Here we're going back to writing expressions or equations, and then we're solving that expression or equation. Again, do your best. Check the answers, see if they make sense, and practice makes you better.